Start with breaking news this hour. RT has obtained exclusive evidence of Turkey's alleged oil dealings with Islamic State. Our documentary crew traveled to parts of Syria recently retaken from the jihadi group and spoke with captured members of ISIL. The author of the report has asked to stay anonymous for security reasons.
We are an RT documentary crew. We went to northeast Syria to make a film on the Islamic State, which used to control this area and its oil. Most of the filming took place in the city of Al-Shaddadi. It is home to about 10,000 people. So here you can see us walking with the Kurdish YPG fighters in houses which only 10 days ago were occupied by ISIL fighters. They ran away, leaving all their things, including important documents. So precisely in this room we found oil accounting documents. The fighters didn't even realize what these were at first. These papers show how much oil was pumped from certain wells per day, the sale price per barrel, and the total profit. This here is right when we discovered these documents, and here you can see the Islamic State symbol on top of the bills of sale. And this one is more detailed. So if we go from right to left, the first column is the name of the driver, the second column is the type of car, the third is how many barrels the person bought, the price per barrel, the total sum, and the number of the bill of sale. So they actually conducted very professional accounting of their oil. The second bill of sale looks like the first one, but here the oil is being sold not by the barrel, but by the ton. And everywhere we can see the seal of the Islamic State. And here's the same document opened up without the bills of sale covering it. We have the name of the driver, type of vehicle, how much was paid before the oil was weighed, the weight of an empty vehicle, the weight of a full vehicle, and the difference. So how much oil was pumped into the vehicle, the final price, and the number of the bill of sale. We talked to local residents and Kurdish People Protection Unit's fighters about where the oil could have gone. So the locals were very well placed to know where the oil was heading because they lived under the Islamic State, and most of them worked for the ISIL oil industry. Between 75 to 95% of locals had really no alternatives to working in this industry because it was difficult even for an educated person to find a job there. So they explained how this chain worked. The oil that was pumped from the wells was taken here. It was heated and separated into petrol, gas, and you can say clean oil. And this clean oil was sold on. When we asked some of the residents who used to work there where they thought this was sold to, they said that there were intermediary traders from Raqqa and Aleppo who took these supplies. They also often mentioned Turkey. But the main evidence we got was from our interview with a captured ISIL fighter of Turkish origin.
Oil is being traded, that is for sure. Apart from that, they're also providing ISIL with food and other goods. ISIL is under an embargo. It's not easy for them to find food supplies. They're also provided with money, weapons, and ammunition. All this is done openly.
We didn't ask him specifically about oil, but about his personal story. And without being prompted, he said that it was easy for him to cross the border and become a member of ISIL because this is what Turkey wants. When we asked him why this is the case, he explained that Turkey gets something in return, and that something is oil. We were able to talk to a representative of the YPG, who showed us a collection of passports they obtained from killed ISIS fighters. They were citizens of various countries: Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Russia, Turkey, France, and many more. But the one thing they all had in common was a Turkish border stamp, so each passport had one. They arrived in Turkey and then illegally crossed the border to Syria and joined ISIL. The Kurdish security services also gave us personal documents which were taken from a memory card of an ISIL member. And there were pictures of future ISIL recruits, and here we have a picture that they took themselves in front of the obelisk of Theodosius in Istanbul, and the next picture shows them as fully equipped ISIL fighters in Syria. We were lucky to interview 3 ISIL members. The first was a local from Al-Shaddadi, the second was from Saudi Arabia, and the third was a Turkish citizen. Both of the foreigners arrived, of course, through Turkey, from Istanbul, and then they illegally crossed into Syria.
I flew to Turkey. No visa was needed. It was very easy to enter Turkey and to travel through the country. I passed Turkish security checkpoints and encountered no obstacles. Islamic State militants always go to Syria via Turkey. They have no difficulty crossing the border. There was a lot of Turkish goods and products in the areas of Syria we visited. There appears to be smuggling on a daily basis, but nobody asks questions.
So even though everyone knows that there's a war going on in Syria, and Islamic State is right on the border with Turkey, this border is still not secured. One of the documents that really shocked me personally was a test for prospective teachers, those being trained to teach children in ISIL schools. And there we found about 10 completed tests by these potential teachers, and one of the questions was, if a person ridicules the beheading procedure carried out by a member of the Islamic State, how should he be treated and why? And the answer was that he's unfaithful because if he ridicules this procedure, then he's laughing at the entire Muslim faith. There was another question. If a person gives food to an Alawite besieged in his own home, how should he be treated and why? The answer was again that he's unfaithful because this Alawite has been condemned by Muslims, and in doing so he shows that he loves this Alawite more than Allah. Another interesting thing is that Islamic State members fled prior to the Kurdish offensive, dropping everything, including their weapons, those documents, and their personal belongings, and even their shoes. So when we walked around these apartments, we found beard shavings in front of a mirror and scissors, because they had changed into regular clothes before running away, so that the Kurds wouldn't spot them. And another curious thing that we found was a book entitled How to Defeat the Assad Criminal Regime. We found the book in an ISIL hospital, and it has been printed in Turkey. A lot of people talk about the connection to Turkey. A captured ISIL fighter himself told us that if they couldn't receive weapons, people, and food, and if it was impossible for Islamic State members to get into Turkey to get medical help and rest, then Islamic State would lose their support and a very big sponsor. Why is Turkey doing all of this?
Turkey and ISIL have a common enemy, the YPG. Turkey doesn't want to find them itself. They choose to act through an intermediary to get rid of their enemy. That is why Turkey allows jihadists into its territory.
After spending 2.5 weeks in Syrian Kurdistan, I can say that it was very revealing. Soon we will release a documentary about ISIL, its oil, and the connections to Turkey, so stay tuned.